Let us not forget everything that happens. It's by the will of Allah. Holy will. It's time to unite and stand, and we will be the best amongst men. It's not time to be extreme or duty unthinkable, but to stand together as one. Tune into Sunnah followers, streaming every day, various platforms. Trust me, you'll find a way. Sunnah followers. You just need to stay away. And you just need to stay away. Stay away today. There's a heavy price to pay. Stay away, stay away, stay away. You just need to stay. Prohibition, limitation. You just need to stay away.
Okay, we live now. All right. Inna alhamdulillah wa salam Allah wa rasulullah. Welcome to our class on the prohibited imitations in Islam. And mashallah, this class is based on the book written by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. As we spoke about earlier today in my Aqidah class on diluting well and well better, when we do our self-reflection, in order to reflect upon ourselves and know what needs to be changed about us and what we need to work on, we have to first have the proper knowledge and understanding of the deen. And remember, I told you guys, all knowledge should be based on what Allah says it should be and what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. And then also after that, we also look at scholarly writings, scholarly books written by the scholars that are based on the Quran, books written by the scholars that are based on the authentic hadiths and their meaning, such as the books written by Sheikh Karim Abu Zayd, such as the books written by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. And that's why here at Sunnah Followers, our curriculum consists of all the books written by Sheikh Karim Abu Zayd, and the hadith section of our curriculum are the books composed by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. And this book is the Prohibited Imitations. Islam teaches us as Muslims that we're supposed to be unique and we're supposed to stand out over others. We're not supposed to imitate the unbelievers. We're not supposed to imitate the opposite gender. We're not supposed to imitate Shaitan and his awliya or his allies either. And that's what we're speaking about today. Other actions that if we indulge in them will fall in a category of imitation of Iblis. Before I begin today's actions, who can remind us of some of the actions we discussed yesterday that may fall in the category of imitation of Iblis? Who can remember some of the actions that we should stay away from that cause us to fall in that category? Anyone, go ahead.
One of them is eating with your left hand and also only walking around wearing one shoe.
MashaAllah, eating with your left hand, walking with one shoe on and one shoe off. These are characteristics that are specific to Shaitan and the Jinn. So this is why we don't use our left hand when we eat or drink. You can hold it, but don't use it to put it in your mouth. Okay? This is why we don't walk around with one sandal on and the other sandal off. Break your children out of that. Okay, what are some other actions we've discussed?
Half and half in your body.
Go ahead.
Half and half your body in the sun and half your body in the shade.
Exactly. Sitting in the park or sitting on a bench with half your body in the shade and the other half in the sun. You know, this is something that is specific to the jinn. So we should never sit that way. Either sit totally underneath the tree in the shade or in the sun, but not half and half. Good job. What's another one?
I said it was for praying and coming in between someone and their sutra.
MashaAllah. Good job, Mina. Coming between a person and their sutra. Now, can I walk in front of the sutra?
Yes.
Yes.
Not between.
Good job, Mina. I can walk in front of the sutra, but not between that person and his sutra. Because if a person does that, that's how you know that that person is an evil person. Any Muslim that tries to come between you and your sutra is an evil denizen of shaitan. Remember, shaitan has his armies amongst mankind, just as he has his army amongst the jinn. So we have to avoid that. Okay, what's another thing?
Being wasteful.
Good job, Awa. Being very wasteful, you know, wasting our food. You know, what should we do when we eat our food? Who can talk about that for us?
You should try to eat 1/3 of your food, 1/3 of water, and I forgot the other one.
I mean, how can we eat? How can we avoid being wasteful when we eat? That's what I meant, really.
Oh, just put a little bit on your plate. You know, you can't take it all. You can't eat it all. Just put a little bit on your plate.
And what should you do if something falls on the ground?
Pick it up and eat it.
Or what if I don't want to eat it because I'm just OCD? Should I just leave it on the ground?
No, pick it up and throw it in the trash.
Exactly. Pick it up and throw it in the trash if you don't want to eat it. Pick it up and throw it in the trash. Don't just leave it there. Because what happens if I leave it on the ground? Anyone? What happens if I drop food on the ground and just leave it? What happens?
The jinn will eat from it.
Okay, now, when we went over that hadith, I had a lot of questions from the new shahadas about it. Have any of you ever dropped a hot dog on the ground and left it, or a piece of meat or a potato outside on the ground and left it? What happened when you leave it there? What happens real quick? It happens quickly. What happens when you leave it there?
An animal will come get it or something.
What animals?
Like roaches, ants, and stuff like that.
Okay, have you guys seen the ants? What do you think those ants are? Jinns can take on the appearance of other animals. Y'all know that. You drop it on the ground, what's going to happen? Especially you at the park. You going to look down and that sucker gone. You going to see it carried away by a bunch of ants. Oh, yeah. The jinn. The jinn, we cannot see them in their original form, but they can take on the form of other insects and animals. They share that with the angels. And it don't take long. Y'all think Allah be lying when he says stuff? If you know you drop it on the ground, they're going to get it. Unless you do what to it? Unless you do what? And how many of you have tried that? You drop it, and if you come back and the hot dog is still there, why is it still there? Why is the hot dog still there, but that hot dog over there is carried away? How many of you seen it at your picnics? Or you sitting on the porch at home? Because you did something, you drop a piece of potato on the porch and it's still there. You got to clean it up. But your sister didn't do it and she dropped it and you see the ants carrying it away. Why is it that they carrying hers away and not yours?
Because you said Bismillah, the name of Allah. On it.
Exactly. Bismillah. That's why the Prophet said, mention the name of Allah before you eat, and the jinn won't be able to eat from it. And that's why. And you can try the experiment, because I tried it as a kid. Y'all know how I am. You know, I was around 10. My sister was around 6. I told her, drop that hot dog on the porch and don't say Bismillah. Okay. She dropped it. I said, watch this. Bismillah. I said, now let's go play hopscotch. We went and played hopscotch. Of course I won. Always did. Came back. I said, where's your hot dog? Somebody took it. It's gone. Maybe our brother Hodge probably. Hodge came outside and probably picked it up and ate it. I said, no. The ants got it. Look over there and you will see the ants marching away with her hot dog. Oh, yeah. See, Allah speaks the truth. I was a dyer all my life. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. So, you know, that's what happens. So for the new shahadas that ask me, is this true? Try it. Yes. When you at a picnic, you will see the ants will claim some food and not the others. The ones that had Bismillah mentioned over it, they ain't walking away with it. That stuff that the person fed dropped that they didn't mention, they got it. It's gone. Allah doesn't lie. And why do you think people convert to Islam? Because the Islam is so true. They see it. You can see the truth. You can tell that this religion is from Allah, not from man. Because how could man know that? That the ants are the jinn, and the jinn are carrying your food away. And you know those ants appear out of nowhere. Come on, guys. You could have been sitting on your porch all day. You ain't seen not one ant. Just like me. I'm up on the 3rd floor. I can go on my patio. Ain't no ants on my patio. My patio's made out of wood. But if I was to drop some food on there without saying Bismillah, them ants will come out of nowhere. How did they get up on 3rd floor? I don't know. They'll come out of nowhere. The jinn will take it. Or you'll come back and see what else on it. Not just an ant. What else will you see on top of the food? What's another thing you'll see on it?
Fly.
Flies. Ants, jinn take the form of a fly. So what? If the jinn can't turn into an ant and take my food, he gonna fly in the form of a fly and be sitting there on top of my food eating it. And then he'll go so far as to lay a baby. They lay their babies on it too. Oh yeah, their babies get born that way and grow up to fly away to their home. So Allah speaks the truth. So when you're eating, you teach your children to mention the name of Allah, and also only put enough on your plate that you can eat, which is the size of the fist of your hand, your fist. Because we're supposed to lick the plate. Did y'all know that? Unlike the Kafirs, they teach us it's bad manners to lick your fingers. It's bad manners to lick the plate. And I don't suggest y'all do that in the public, because we are people of dignity, okay? But you know, when I'm in the public, I'm going to clean my plate with my fork, my spoon. I'm not going to leave nothing behind, okay? And when I'm done, I'm going to wipe my fingers. Or I'll lick my fingers in a nice way. Y'all see that? All right. What's the purpose of licking the fingers? Why should we lick our fingers? Go ahead.
We should lick our fingers because we, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, we don't know, where the blessing lies unless we finish our food up.
And what is the blessing? What is this blessing? When we read the hadith, the Prophet fingers and clean your plate, because you don't know what part of the food Allah put the blessing in. What's the blessing? Can anybody tell us?
the blessing is that you will be full after you eat, and you won't need any more food to grab.
Exactly. As Aisha, radiallahu anha, see why we got to know the hadith. The four imams ain't giving you this answer, but Aisha did. She said the blessing is the food will fill you up. You will not be tempted to overindulge like Shaitan wants you to do. Shaitan wants us to be gluttons and never be full. So that's the blessing of the food. You know, Allah puts a blessing that will, if you eat that part, you'll be full. All you need is enough to fit in the palm of your hand. That's it. Your plate of food should be just enough to fit in the palm of your hand, because this is how big the stomach is. It's no bigger than that. Okay? So you eat all that's on your plate and then you'll be full. You won't want seconds, thirds, and fourths. People who are gluttons, they eat and walk away. I was looking at my grandkids before. When they were younger, they would never sit at the table and eat like normal human beings. Seriously. My grandkids, they was too busy looking around in everybody's business. You fix the food, put it down for them, and you would think that they would sit there and eat. No, they just eat 2 spoons. Hey, they hear me laugh and they want to come run in the room and see what I'm laughing at. They hear me talk on the phone. They got to run in the room and sit and listen to my conversation. I said, you walking away from your food, most likely you didn't mention Bismillah. So while you walking away, the jinns is eating it. The jinns is eating your blessings away. And then they don't even finish the food. They'll sit there and leave half the food on the plate and throw it away and then go back and get more. How many kids do that? Don't even eat what's on their plate. Throw it away and then go get more. And that's why my grandkids, 3 of them is fat. That's why you 3 fat. You don't never get the blessings of your food, of your meal. Jayla skinny and the other little boy skinny. That's just genes. The rest of y'all are gluttons. You know, you don't get the blessing. So we have to sit there instead of jumping up and down, running to CTV and getting other people's business. Get your plate, make just enough to fit in your fist, sit there and eat. So the jinn don't come eat from it. Say Bismillah first and sit there and eat the meal and clean the plate when you're done. We've lost the mannerisms that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. So those are some of the hadiths that we went over yesterday that fall into imitations of the jinn, and we're going to complete this chapter today. So yeah, that was your quiz. You know, guys don't have to worry. That was your quiz. So let me put the power.
Sister Laila, I got a question real quick. So when you said that, because one of the kids had asked, what do you say Bismillah before and Bismillah after if you forget? Or you just say Bismillah? Okay,
the Prophet was asked this question. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, say Bismillah before you eat, someone said, well, what if you forget and don't remember until you're almost done? The Prophet said, say Bismillah then and continue. You know, so just whenever, even if you forget, just say Bismillah whenever you remember. And if you completed the food and it's done, say Bismillah still anyway, okay? Because that still will get that, you know, blessing for you too. So just say it whenever you remember, okay? But you want to try to train yourself to get in the habit of saying it, okay? All right, so let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen for today's classes. Today's hadiths. And this is going to complete this chapter. And we'll talk about the next chapter next week. It's the page 62, Fresno. We'll talk about that next week. Well, let's put the put the PowerPoint. Okay. Up on. Okay, here we go. All right, inshallah, this will be completing this chapter, which is part 3 of the book on prohibited imitations. For those of you who have not yet purchased the book, This is how it looks. Go to Atlee online and get it. It's an excellent book. And again, this class is only held on Saturdays and Sundays. So Saturdays and Sundays. So let's take a look at the hadiths that complete this chapter of Imitation of the Jinn. And we begin with the hadith about making false analogies. Before I go over this hadith, can somebody look up on dictionary.com what is the meaning of analogies? Because one of the kids, you know, I forgot asked that question earlier, the one that was reading ahead of class. And I told her I'd have y'all review it here. What is the meaning of analogy? I wouldn't have used this word, but this is the word. I should have rewrote that.
It says a comparison between two things, typically for the purpose of explanation or clarification.
Okay. I would have called this making false meanings, giving a false meaning or a false interpretation of something. This is what the Muslims are doing today that is a sin. We're misconstruing the meaning of the Quran. We're taking hadiths out of context, saying that they apply to situations and scenarios which they don't apply to. And for example, Allah gives us an example of this in this verse of the Quran, where he says, "Oh, Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to Adam after I commanded you to?" And he said, "Because you made me from fire and you made him from clay." So what does that have to do with the cost of living in China? You know, so what that I made you from fire? So what that I made you from clay? Guess what Iblis said? Iblis said fire is better than clay, stronger than clay. Fire can destroy clay. But this is not true. Fire can be able to destroy clay, but a jinn is not stronger spiritually than a human being. A human being is more intelligent than a jinn. Iblis is a jinn. Adam was a human. Jinns have physical strength, but humans are stronger mentally than they are. Okay? So this is an example of a false analogy. You think that you're better than him because you come from fire and he from dirt. But in reality, you're not better than him. He's better than you because I've given him intellect over you. Okay? And also one of the Tabi'een, Al-Hasan al-Basri, he said in the statement of Allah, of you created me from fire and him from clay, this was an analogy that Iblis made, and he was the first one to analyze things. He was the first one to do analogies. So as Muslims, we're not supposed to do analogies like that because I am whiter in color than you. I'm prettier than you. Y'all get it now? Isn't that what the world wants you to believe? That because a person is lighter than you in color, that they're more beautiful than you? That's not true. That's why even with Islam, that opinion that one of the four imams has, that if a woman wears black socks, she can show her feet. That's an analogy. You're saying we all know that the only thing that a sock does is cover the color of your skin. It hides the color of your skin, but the shape of the foot is still there. So you're saying that because I have on a black sock, my foot is ugly because it's black? But if I put on a white sock, it would be beautiful because white is beautiful? That's an analogy. This is haram. We don't do that. This is what Shaitan does. He makes false analogies. So if you know people who do that, who think that because a person's light in color, they're more pretty, because a person's hair is straighter, they're more beautiful, because a person's eyes are lighter, you know, these are people who think like Shaitan. And they're falling in that category of imitating Shaitan. And that's why even socks are haram. You have to cover the top of your foot. A sock doesn't do nothing but make your color black. Black is beautiful, sisters. It ain't ugly. Always bet on black. Hello. All right. Another imitation. We have this hadith here where Anas tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, be careful and take things slow, because taking things slowly comes from Allah. Shaitan is the one who rushes through things. So as Muslims, anything that we do, and everything we do, we're supposed to do with dignity, humility, and balance. When we make our prayers, we don't rush through them. We take our time. When we eat, we don't rush through our food. We should take our time. When we're taking a bath, take your time and wash your body properly, because that comes from Allah. But to haste, as the Prophet said in another hadith, anytime you rush through things, you're going to make mistakes. You don't want to be a person that makes mistakes that could have been avoided simply if you had taken your time. So this is another example of imitating Shaitan, imitating the Jinn, to rush through things. Take your time. And also eavesdropping. Allah speaks about the Jinn in the Quran when he says, and verily we used to sit there in stations to steal what we heard. But now if any of us goes to listen, we will find a flame of fire waiting to ambush us. The jinns used to eavesdrop on the conversations of the angels. They would sit at the lowest level of the heavens, eavesdropping, until Allah sent the Quran down. After the Quran, now if the jinn go up there to eavesdrop, Allah throws a meteorite at them. So whenever you see a falling star or see a meteorite fall to the earth, it falls because Allah threw it to knock away the jinn. So again, guys, how many of you know people who eavesdrop? You want to listen into my conversation. Instead of you taking your behind the bed at night, you're sitting on the steps, eavesdropping on your parents and what they're talking about. This is imitating Shaitan. This is imitating the Jinn. Okay? Also, embellishing the actions of the people of falsehood. Allah speaks about this in the Quran. He said Shaitan made their bad deeds appeal to them. This is a characteristic of Shaitan. He'll make you think that it's okay to smoke marijuana. He'll make you think it's okay to smoke cigarettes, to get drunk, to have a boyfriend, to have a girlfriend. Remember, Allah speaks about how Shaitan, how the whoopee bird came back and told the Prophet Solomon, alayhi salam, how he saw the queen of Saba and her people prostrating to the sun instead of Allah, because Allah made them think that this was a good thing to do. Because Shaitan made them think that this was a good thing to do to keep them from the path of Allah. How many of you know people who do that? You're coming here to my website to learn about Islam. Everything I'm teaching you is based on the Quran and the Hadiths. I don't ever give you my own personal opinion. Every answer I answer is based on a Hadith or a verse of the Quran with the understanding of the companions. But you got jealous people that don't want you to learn. So they'll try to convince you to stop coming here, to stop listening to me. You know, they'll think that it's better for you to go to the mosque. They'll make you believe that you get more blessings as a Muslim woman going to the mosque, listening to some broke down English man speak about this deen without knowledge. And you actually believe it. You believe that you get more blessings sitting at the mosque, listening to some man talk about something that ain't got nothing to do with la ilaha illallah and how you going to get through that grave. That's embellishing the actions of the people of falsehood. This is making the bad deeds appeal to you. A lot of us Muslim women suffer with this today, and I'm going to talk about this. I tell you sisters all the time that your homes are better for you. You sisters get more blessings staying at home, praying by yourself in your bedroom than going to any masajid. You sisters are getting more blessings sitting at home in your living room, in your pajamas, listening to me teach you the basics of Islam than going to a conference put on by some people. You're getting more blessings. But you sitting there letting the people of falsehood tell you otherwise. This is what Shaitan does. Okay? In another verse, Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, and we destroyed the Ad and the Thamud. And it has become clear to you from their destroyed homes how Shaitan made pleasing to them the bad deeds that they were doing that took them away from the right path. How many of you are like the people of the Ad and the Thamud, you sisters? You allow those people to pull you away from my classes, to get you to come to the mosque. Oh, it's nice to be around Muslims. True. But it's nice to be around Muslims who are of benefit to you, not people who are of no benefit. The Prophet taught us to be careful whose company we keep. So you hanging out in the mosque with a bunch of women who don't know the basics of Islam, who couldn't pass not one quiz on my website, who are sitting there reading from a book that they don't understand. The book might not even be an authentic book anyway. They're twisting the hadiths around, giving their opinion of the meaning of them, and you let them make you think you getting more reward than learning from a real person of knowledge at home and the luxury of your own bait. You women got to stop being suckers. You sisters have to stop being suckers for Shaitan and his army, because you're allowing Shaitan and his army, to lead you away from what could bring you closer to Allah. Okay? Also another imitation, laughing at people who have been stricken with laziness or lack of energy. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah loves for a person to sneeze, but he dislikes for a person to yawn. So if any one of you sneezes and says, Alhamdulillah, which means all praise is due to Allah, every Muslim who hears you say that has to say, Yarhamakullah, which means may Allah have mercy on you. But in regards to yawning, yawning comes from Shaitan. A Shaitan causes you to yawn, to get tired, to get sleepy, to get bored. So if one of you yawns, you should try your best to keep your mouth closed, to not open it. Because if any of you yawns and opens your mouth and makes that sound, Shaitan laughs at you. So how is this an imitation? You laugh at somebody being lazy. Here's a brother that stands up to pray, but his mind is not on his prayer. His mind is not on Allah. So he stands in a drunken state, half pronouncing the Fatiha, not even knowing which rakat. You think that's funny? Oh no, you're imitating Shaitan. Instead, you should go and grab that brother by his arm and tell him, hey, Aki, the Prophet said, do not approach your prayers when you are droggy. Go take a nap and then come back. That's what you should say. But instead, you want to sit there and make fun of the brother. You're imitating Shaitan. Does everybody understand that? Also, another imitation. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if anyone intends to have relations with his wife, and before you have the relations, you say in the name of Allah, oh Allah, keep us away from the devil and keep the devil away from what you have provided us. Should your wife become pregnant, that child born, no devil will ever be able to harm it. What does that mean? Does that mean that that child will be perfect? No. Does that mean that that child won't make mistakes? No. Well, does that mean that that child won't do bad things? No. It just means no devil, no jinn, no denizen of Shaitan will be able to physically harm it. That's what it means. Physically harm it. This is a child that ain't got to worry about growing up in a jinn throwing something on it. This is a child that doesn't have to worry about a jinn growing up in a jinn hitting it in the head with something. Okay? How many of you know people who do harm children? You're jealous of that sister over there and her beautiful kids. So you make hasad, or you wish evil upon her child. All you're doing is imitating a jinn. You're imitating Shaitan. That's what Shaitan does. Also, in another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the toilets are places where the jinn and devils meet. So if any of you goes to a toilet, you should say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Seek refuge. Now, the word in Arabic is not bathroom. It's toilet. And what is a toilet? A toilet is the actual place that we sit down on. The toilet is the hole in the ground. The Prophet Muhammad and them didn't have toilets. They had outhouses. They had areas that were away from their villages where the people would go to urinate in and defecate in. Okay? That's the place where the devils and the jinn hang out. Not your bathroom in your house. If you're keeping your bathroom clean, we have running water. When you urinate, when you defecate, you flush the toilet, it goes down the pipes and out to the lake somewhere. In Cleveland, it goes out to Lake Erie. Ain't no jinn hanging around in my bathroom. Number one, it's too clean. Number two, ain't no filth in there for it to eat, nothing. The toilet's clean. Clean water. You can live in my bathroom. Okay? It's talking about an outhouse, guys. An outhouse, which is a place with nothing but a hole in the ground that the nasty, filthy doo-doo and pee-pee stays in. The jinn lay there. They eat that stuff. So a lot of people read this hadith and interpret it to mean bathrooms. No, it means exactly what it is. The area where your waste is taken. That part of Lake Erie where all the dung and stuff goes. That's where the jinn hang out. That part, that outhouse in the woods that you stand over and urinate and defecate, and you see that it plops in the bottom, and you hear it, you see it, you smell it. That's where they are. Not your personal bathroom. If your bathroom is clean and you got running water in it. Everybody understand this hadith? And finally, another imitation of the jinn is betrayal. As Allah says in the Quran, Shaitan loves to betray humanity. Shaitan is a liar. The jinn are liars. They cannot keep their promises. As Allah says in the interpretation of meaning, it is only Shaitan who tries to scare you with his supporters. But don't fear them. Instead, fear me if you are a true believer. Shaitan and his enemies that help him. Shaitan and his allies who help him amongst mankind. Because we got a lot of human devils. They want you to be afraid of them. The Zionists in the world. They want us to fear them. Those people at your job who make fun of you. They want you to fear them. Those kids at school who make fun of you and bully you, they want you to fear them. But Allah is telling us, don't fear them. Fear him alone. And we have this hadith that we spoke about another time in another class on the day of the Battle of Uhud. When the pagans were defeated by the Muslims, Shaitan took on the appearance of a man, and he said, "Oh, slaves of Allah, look out, they're coming from behind." And the Muslims turned around and began to fight the people who were behind them, thinking that they were their enemies. But instead, those were Muslims, and they didn't know it. And one of the companions, the one that Mukhtar talked about today, Hudayfa, Mukhtar mentioned the name Hudayfa today. Hudayfa looked and saw his father, El-Yaman, being attacked by the Muslims. And Hudayfa tried to stop them. He said, "Oh, Muslims, that's my father. That's my father. That's not one of the enemy." But they didn't hear him. They kept on until they killed him. But to show how good a person Hudayfa was, he realized when the Prophet let it be known that that was Shaitan who did that. Hudayfa made dua saying, "May Allah forgive all of you. May Allah forgive you all for what you did." That's how righteous a person Hudayfa was, as Mukhtar spoke about today. And he remained a pious, righteous man until he died. Shaitan does stuff like that to trick us. That's why we shouldn't play tricks on each other. That's why we shouldn't try to scare each other like that, because you end up hurting someone, killing someone, harming someone unnecessarily. And we should never betray our friends, never betray our family members, never betray people, because this is something that is exclusive to Shaitan. He is known as the betrayer. That's one of the names that people have given Shaitan. The one who can never be trusted. The one who forever betrays anyone stupid enough to listen to him.